Hello everyone, and welcome back to this, a desk that for some reason they've given me the reins over because Milos is sick. Please, on social, send him animal pics and your best wishes. And here, well, we'll just get into Outsiders versus Heroics. Hi, both of you.
Hello.
You're at such a safe distance, but now you're close here, and we find ourselves closing through the day. Outsiders versus Heroic. It could be a quick one.
Could it?
I mean, hot takes. Give me them.
Oh, well, I predicted Heroic. I haven't predicted Heroic. I'm not allowed to. I predicted Outsiders. I was the only one, so I suppose it's a bit of a hot take. And Outsiders, they've looked somewhat good, actually. They've looked a little bit inconsistent, but especially Milan at the front of that team have really, they've pushed them on. Only a 50% win rate, but some pretty impressive wins there. They've got a scalp over G2. They beat Na'Vi. They did get absolutely outclassed by BDS, but they're beating the teams that they should, and they're very close with some of the other teams.
As I spoke about in the pre-show, they've actually kind of started to reinvent the Russian idea of how to play Siege. They have started taking more innovative approaches to their strats and trying to use more operators to fit into what they want to do and try new things. I think that's the best step the Russian teams can take because they have all the basics. They add the little bit of spice to it, and all of a sudden, we got the good ramen.
I really like the two pickups as well. FMX and Smash both played on Hellraisers and CL. And I was saying at the time, if this Hellraisers roster doesn't get through to EUL, obviously it was M&M in the end who did, they need to be in, especially Smash, needed to be in EUL. And I think the pickups for the future, not necessarily for stage one, but for the rest of this year, even kind of thinking long-term going into next year, I think both of those pickups have strengthened this roster considerably.
They have. They've become a much better team.
On the other side of them, a team that I think has been a bit of a surprise for everybody. Sure, we thought they might do well in the guns of Heroic, but first place, only one loss, everything else a full-time win.
Yeah, I mean, if we're surprised about it, a little bit, I would say. They looked strong before, and they've kind of been on the edge of always getting in, but not really have. They've stumbled just in front of the finish line. They have looked really good this stage, though. Obviously, their win rate is super high, but what I'm most impressed by with them is their attacks. Their attacks have been looking really, really good, except against Na'Vi and G2, and I don't know if it was nerves or it was just like a hiccup or whatever it was, they didn't show up for the day. They didn't. And the biggest thing about last Playday against BDS, they showed that every single player can step up when Slot is having a day off.
Yeah, and cast your mind all the way back to Playday 1. They just beat an M&M, I think it was on Clubhouse, and Officer was in the interview and he was doing it from the Heroic headquarters, and there's all the Heroic staff there, and he said, "We are the #1 team." And I think collectively, we all said, all right, mate, back to bed. Twitch chat probably did the same again because we're thinking, we know they're a good team, but are they a #1 team? Do they have the backup on that? And they do. They've won basically every game apart from one slip-up.
In fairness, they have been saying that a very long time because we've obviously known them since they were Burning Foxes, and even back then in the days when they're up against strong Team Secret, strong Na'Vi, strong...
True.
It was like, we could do it, and we were like, okay.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, but you've got a head-to-head about Heroic as well.
We do, and we're going to bring the head-to-head up.
Let's do it.
And we've got Benja against Sloth. And oh yeah, I did this one. Yeah, this was me.
Yeah,
it was all me.
100%.
I did this head-to-head. Fabian would never allow me to do two players from the same team. And realistically, we use the head-to-heads here in the pre-game, usually to do a comparison. Here, I actually want to highlight both players. Because both players, Benja came in the Stage 3 2021, and Sloth was in this roster right throughout 2021. Sloth had a pretty poor 2021. He'll say that himself. He knows that. His team knows that. But both of these players are performing for Heroic. They're the two front men. They're getting the entries. They're getting the kills. Look at the KDs. Great cost. And them two, Fabian, for me, these are the big reasons why Heroic are doing so well, is these two players on the front line.
You might think so. I think that it's Uno.
Okay.
The reason I say that is that I think that both Benja and Slot have the mechanical talent to do stuff.
You think Uno's enabling them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically what Uno does, he's the one pulling these two dogs in his leash, and he's letting a little bit more of the leash go if he needs to, and he pulls them back when he needs to. That's what Uno does for his team. And then they have a really good shot caller in Gorgona that has that sort of end-round setup that he does. Overall, they look like a complete team combined with talented mechanical players.
All right, what map's it going to be?
Plane.
Plane?
Skyscraper.
Let's find out. We'll bring up the map bands now, which are ready, as our lobby is pretty much good to go. Both were wrong. Fabian was somehow closer. Cafe, with them deciding to lean in. How do you think this sort of shapes up here?
I don't know if this map leans to either side. I mean, last time we saw Heroic on it, they played against Team Secret that had just played it twice with the coach, and they really just took them off the map. which team it leans to, I wouldn't be able to
Do you
tell you.
remember when Outsiders played it?
Tell me.
They were against Secret with a coach.
All right, I'll see myself out, and then we'll talk about
What I will say is, in terms of preference, in terms of the banning kind of strategy preference of it, it's Outsiders' favourite map, even if they did lose it to a Secret with a coach playing. For Heroic, they've got a massive map pool, so it's a map that they will have counter prep on them. That's one thing Heroic do excellently. They like taking teams to their favourite map and countering them excellently, so I would expect to see that out of Heroic today.
And if Outsiders lose their favorite map against the coach, maybe they should rethink what is their favorite map.
Yeah, I think at that point, favorite gets a little bit wider and wider. Now, I'm told our lobby is ready, and I wasn't educated on how to use any of these buttons to confirm whether it's ready. So I think I'm just going to throw it over to Dez and Ace, and they can fill for as long as they can. Please, take it away, Dez and Big Tim.
Today, apparently, is Big Dez and Big Tim, as we both have the big voice, Tim.
We do. Have I been given the God voice? Have I got any voice?
No, mere mortal. I have the voice.
You have the voice.
You don't have the voice.
Honestly, they've given you far too much power there.
Oh, I've always wanted to do that. It's fantastic. Okay, you can go down production. It's okay. There we go.
That's a ridiculous tool to give to you.
Too much power in one little man's hands. However, that is why they give us a microphone, Tim, so we can shout and talk about it instead. Outsiders versus Heroic. I think we all have an idea of which way this game is going. Those of you at home do as well. But on Cafe, it feels like anything can happen against a Russian team, Tim.
Certainly does. We've seen... The thing is, I think for Cafe in Stage 1, we've seen some upsets and surprises. That's the key. So it doesn't matter who goes there now for me. For the remainder of the stage, we're always going to look at a Cafe game and think, what's going to happen here? And that's all thanks to Secret. So, thanks to those guys for giving us that uncertainty. We love to see it. We're going to have our bans coming in. Heroic coming in with a Twitch ban to kick us off there.
Fancy. I like these spicy bans when they start coming in. We've seen all kinds over the weeks, haven't we? We've seen a bit of Flores target ban against some teams, BDS banning it away themselves more often than not. As Alems famously said, it is arguably the strongest operator in the game right now. We saw Finker against Mowgli earlier on today. It's Twitch coming in here, followed up by Thatcher. Well, that's boring as all hell, isn't it? We're used to seeing that on pretty much every single map, Tim, with very few exceptions.
Yeah, pretty much. We see you can count on one hand by the end of a stage probably how many times we've been able to see Thatcher played. Still very much one of those perma bans. We're going to have our defenders coming in soon. The first one will be Outsiders banning a defender. It will be Mirror, and I would expect the second
Spicy ban, 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 spicy ban,
because we're on Cafe.
No.
Sorry to be the voice of reason, but Valkyrie is just far too powerful on Cafe, particularly to leave her in. And the difference is, if you're wondering why, is she not? She is heavily banned on other maps as well, but why is Cafe different? It's just the outdoor cams. 2 or 3 cams outside. They're only 10 seconds on them. That has changed, to be fair, but that's been the historic reason for a ban rate here. You've still got 10 seconds on them. If you whiz them out, you can potentially get that information for a run out, for a jump out, for a peek. And then even if not, there's super powerful cams inside. Look at all the furniture that's knocking about. Chairs, tables, that you can just whack them underneath and they become very, very difficult to pick them up and find them. So Valkyrie always on the way out when it comes to Cafe.
I've never heard someone pay so much attention to the furniture inside of Cafe.
You got to pay attention to the furniture.
Do you want to tell me what material there is lining the sofas?
Leather.
Fine leather, or is it just your normal, cheap knockoff leather?
No, I think it looks pretty fine. It looks pretty good in quality, although them sofas look a little bit shiny, so, who knows.
But what about tables?
Maybe a bit of a pattern going on there.
What are we seeing in those tables, Tim? Answer the real details.
I think there's going to be a bit of mahogany going on there.
Mahogany. Love it, mate.
Bit of top tier stuff going on there.
Only the finest on the top floor of Cafe. Let's get into it then. Bar and Cocktail, Tim's favourite site, as we all know in this game by now. And I think Gorgona's feeling a little bit cheeky-peeky here, Tim, looking for a cheeky-peeky out the door. One man is outside, looking to get on the rappel. As soon as he hears that rappel, you know exactly what's going on. It's a freebie! Hi, Rask. Good night, Rask. Gorgona finds the opener.
What a start for Heroic. They've just sent a huge message to Outsiders there in minute 1. Because now Outsiders, for the next 5 rounds, we won't include this one, seeing as my point is going to be null and void now because they've lost a person. But for the next 5 rounds, approaching the map every single time, they are going to have to pay a lot of attention to doors, windows. They should be paying it anyway, but it's just going to be extra. It's going to be in their mind massively that Heroic are going to come out here and get aggressive. So that is not just about the kill. It's gone on to Flores. It's taken 3 Rotero drones out. It's perfect, but it's about everything else that goes with it. It's the mental game. Yep. It's massive.
And against a team like Outsiders that I think amongst probably half the other teams that are in the European League this stage, pace has not been on their side in the attacking half of the map. So if you're going to be putting the fear of God up and making go even slower, be more cautious on the way through, then yep, that's a good way to make sure this map slows down and you start earning back those precious few seconds. Nades are raining inside from Scarlet though, death from above, quite literally. Grizzly taking a small tickle from one of those, not enough to be concerned about, but it is 10 HP taken off the board. Smash looking for a way in towards Pixel and trying to break open this bathroom hold that Sloth has got himself set up in. In fact, there's 2 of them holding down towards Bathroom and Pixel at this point, a shield in hand. A bunch of my magnets. It's looking nigh on impenetrable for the side of Outsiders.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them from here, trying to get themselves established inside a piano. They've got just over a minute left on the clock. They've got themselves in Cigar. They've got top red. That's locked down, but they're not really making any progress from there. They've been in there for about a minute, and Benja, he could be on a big play here, Des. He's looking for that red stairs flank. I'm just looking down the list. There is nobody on the side of Outsiders. There's no Nomad, no Gridlock, no Claymores, or 1 Claymore on the Zephyr, but I don't think it's been positioned on red stairs. So there is definitely an opportunity for Benja to make his way up there and have a big impact. It's going to be Gorgona, though, that finds the next. That's going to go on to Smash. There is a drone. It's not being watched. There's 2 dead. That's unforgivable, but Benja has missed his shot. Sloth, however, finds FMX.
Does hit the deck on the way through. Finally finished off as Outsiders find their first kill in the game, but Gorg found himself a 2k as well, so it's looking pretty stacked against this Outsiders roster, not even remembering that Gorgona was lurking. Finds a 3k in round 1, and despite a failed flank coming out from the boys of Heroic, in the end of the day, it simply does not matter. Great first round.
Yeah, they were everywhere with Heroic. I don't really see many mistakes, if any, that were made on that top floor defense. You've got Gorgona starting off big with the peak that he got onto Rask. You've then got Benja on the potential for the flank up red stairs. You've got Sloth picking him up from washroom. It was just very well played. And then on the flip side, I look at Outsiders. They've got at least 1 dead. Rask's been dead since the beginning of the round. Nobody's watching the red stairs flank drone. They don't react to Benja heading up there. It's a mistake. There's no 2 ways about it. It didn't cost them this time because Benja couldn't find his shots, but still, that is going to hurt you if it continues. You've got to be on those drones. You've got to be looking for those information. And there was a second player had died as well. It was pretty close to Benja heading up the stairs, so, you know, maybe forgivable that they weren't quite on the cams and ready to go, but Rask had been dead for a good minute and a half by that point.
Well, Rask is deciding, you know what, if you can't see me directly, you cannot shoot me. The Monty being brought along for this downstairs take. What I'm curious to see is if we go as far back as what old G2 used to do on this map, Tim, which is a full map clear, starting on the top floor. I remember Pengu, for example, doing this, clearing from the top floor all the way down, only for them to have no drones left and 30 seconds on the clock when they finally got to the ground floor and they just walked into a slaughter. So whether it's direct to site here, which normally is the way that you would go with a Monty, is the question to be asked. Flores coming inside a bakery. Oh, please get off your yokais. Hoo-hoo-hoo. Sloth almost being caught out by a Rotero there as he was sat on those yokai cams. Will move himself back. Another Flores comes through, and this one should get an ADS and a shield, both taken away. Lots of damage being done inside a bakery so far.
Seeing those Roteros used more effectively this time. It was the Flores that went down in the first 10 seconds of the round last time, but this time utility getting taken out. Sloth's going to hold his position, try to hold on, but the majority of the push is going to come into bakery by the looks of things. We've got at least 3 or 4 out there, including the Monty, so maybe not the ideal position for the Echo here. Of course, an operator that you want alive later into the round. Uno is going to find the kill onto Milon, and as sort of almost expected, we're going to see the Echo of Sloth just wiggle his way out of there, get through the rotation, get himself back to safety so that he can continue using those yokais later into the round. That could be an important move. See how that one develops as the round goes on.
We've touched on this a lot throughout the stage, but for those who remember last year, Sloth was the go-to entry player, often playing the sort of role that you're seeing Grizzly on now, was looking to get up in the face of people, pick up kills for them. But I remember asking a couple of players, why has this change come in? Why is he playing on things like Mute, Mirror, Echo, these more defensive picks? And they said often actually what we found is on the defensive side of things, our entry deaths would often come from Sloth getting a bit too aggressive. So we've changed things around a little bit, pulled back the aggression, and so far it is working wonders for them in terms of results. That is why they are top of the European League table. Grizzly sat inside of Coat here, just waiting for the opportunity to be called to come for a swing. There's two of them holding up towards red, in fact, and Rask should have seen the one up on the red stairs here, going to try and work his way forwards. They can try and step up towards this window, but simply can't see the man. Gorg taking a little bit of health down on the way through. FMX starting to get the plant in, but blasted away by the Yokais. There's three of them on a single doorway here, Tim. If someone gets a great flanking, which is coming in now, they might find themselves a good couple of kills.
The problem they've got after the diffuser was prevented from going down by the Echo is it wasted a lot of the attacking utility. They had it smoked off. They had players pushing in under that cover. Now then, that's a bad throw from Benji. He's got to hit the mark there. 4v2 on the window. He can't pull the trigger on the Nitro, and it is all down to Uno now. Nothing that he could do, and I feel like there's a couple, I don't know if I want to call them mistakes, but there was a couple of unlucky moments for Heroic there where the round could have gone considerably differently. When they initially stopped that plant attempt from FMX, it wasted pretty much all of the attacking utility. The smokes that they were coming under the cover, everything was there. They were pushed back and, like you say, funneled through one door. But just one and a couple more mistakes stacked up for Heroic. The missed throw of the Nitro being a big one as well. Never got detonated. And I feel like Heroic maybe just let him off the hook a little bit there.
It felt a bit scrappy and unprepared from Heroic, which understandably, right? This isn't really a team. Rask isn't normally the go-to shield player when you think of Monty players inside of EUL overall. So with how things are set up in that round, fine. You've been caught out by it once. Next time you step downstairs in towards Kitchen, which will probably be in round 5, you're expecting them to have an answer for it. So we'll keep an eye on the operator lineup coming into round 5. But until then, we've got rounds 3 and rounds 4 to get through, because round 3 is taking place inside of Reading and Fireplace. And those of you who've watched enough Siege know exactly how this round goes down. There's going to be a hold upstairs on the top floor from 2 or 3 members. They'll drop themselves down through the hatch, try and play some verticals, for example. And interestingly here, there's a couple of punch holes going down in front of that single cocktail wall up towards the north side that people play on. Reason for that being you can sit below inside of Reading and spray off any Excaros that come through onto that wall. Just make it really, really difficult for the attackers to force these players on the top side away. It's going to take a lot of utility, arguably a lot of time. Also compounded by, again, the fears we spoke about in round 1, Tim, of the early spawn peak coming out of Gorgona. So let's see how outsiders break this hold open.
Straight up to the top of the building is how it will start to begin with. Milan just going to open up the wall with his skeleton key there through the hatch, which has already been dropped as well. And that is going to give them an opportunity to move in quite quickly, just getting a vertical angle all the way down into the mining and sort of train area. Not directly into train, obviously. That's a little bit too far of a stretch down towards the bottom of the map, but it does get them a little look in towards mining. And what I mean by that is going to stop any rotations through that area, particularly. That's what they're looking for. And then they're going to get themselves in. There goes the Monte. Are they going to sweep across the top floor? Are they happy that they've just droned it out? This could potentially leave them with a little bit of a weakness on the flank if nobody's watching it. There could be an opportunity for defenders to get up the white stairs across and then down behind them. But I'm sure they're going to have somebody in place or a drone at least. But this is rapid progress. There's no messing about from Rask on the Monte.
With no thermite on, with the thermite inside and not a Habana, it just screams that they don't want to try and break open that top floor. They've just gone direct to train and are now looking to get this wall opened up enough for the Monty to step through and try and get a plant off here. So wasting no time about it. Outsiders aren't interested in playing the Siege mini games that you get throughout rounds. They're just looking direct to site and going for a plant in here behind the shield. And again, Heroic are being surprised by this shield-based play. A C4 coming out. I think a smoke also got deployed there, but not enough to scare these players away. FMX getting one back onto Grizzly.
I honestly thought they were going to get away with that plant for a second there, but no, the smokes come out. But Smash, he's going to find one onto Benja, leaving us now in a 4 versus 3. Outsiders in the driving seat and looking to get this round done. 4 versus 3 coming into the final minute. We've had the Nitro deployed. We've had one Toxic Babe canister deployed. So there's a lot less utility now for the defenders to be able to deal with the push of this Monty. But Uno is underneath. He's got the plant spot open from what was a Nitro. So it may well be something that outsiders are not too cautious of. If they don't know that the man is down there in kitchen, they could well fall foul of trying to go into the same spot. And if they do, Uno's going to have a field day. As you can see, he's just waiting underneath, trying to keep that laser sight just from reaching up to the ceiling above him, because that will give away his position. And out come the smoke canisters. He's just ducking and diving here, Uno. He's keeping himself in position, but I'm not sure that Monty's going to go in deep enough. Yes, he is. And that is a beauty from Uno. He's unlucky not to get himself the second. There could still be an opportunity here, but Uno, he's going to prevent this final push in. 7 seconds left to go. He finds the final kill. Gorgona, Sloth get them as well. And that's going to be Heroic taking round number 3. What a play from Uno.
I was really expecting outsiders to see, okay, floors opened up. There could be someone down there. We simply don't know. We don't have the answer. So let's try and go deep. They had, 5 flashes in back pocket, 2 frag grenades, 2 smokes, and none of them were used to really make a big play happen. I think they had a smoke coming out at the very end, but by then, it's too little too late. The actual plant spot itself is not a safe spot to be, and that kind of goes to show you do need a plan B in this round. So what looked like panic stations at first for Heroic turned into success as they denied it from below. Beautiful stuff.
It's fantastic play, just showing that there's, more than one way to get these jobs done. And it was quick thinking from Uno to use the hole that had been opened up by the Nitro as well, because I suggested it may be the case beforehand. They didn't think that hole was going to be used. Normally, if there's a hole in the ground, you're going to be careful about standing on it because you think, there might be somebody underneath. But having been made by the Nitro that was detonated, it was just really beautiful, sort of off-the-cuff play from Uno to think they're going to have no idea I'm down here and that I've got an angle. And it just worked absolutely perfectly. So heading into round 4, will Heroic's defense be as perfect again? It's very unlikely that they're going to have the same start that they did back in round 1 on this site, where Gorgona managed to get himself a nice easy peak at the beginning of the round to give them the advantage. It looks like he's down there on the ground floor and he might be keen to have a little bit of a look, but I don't think they're going to get quite the same good fortune.
Yeah, only real change coming into this round compared to round 1 is that there is a Finker on side versus a Zofia. So still with that range destruction, just dropping away from playing the LMG. Surely not. Surely not again, Gorg. You cannot do this a second time in a row. There's someone on the window here. He might just think for the jump out now they've had their couple of shots. If he goes out here, could find... Oh, this flick over was beautiful. It is a trade coming back in as they both went out at the same time and FMX gets the shutdown. So well handled by outsiders, but for a second, that looked like it might just all go wrong. Oh,
that's it. They've come out net on top, and FMX manages to get himself another onto Uno. Absolute beauty there, and outsiders got themselves a real advantage. Now then, they've not got the sledge of Milon, so they're going to have to use alternative utility to get those hatches open if they want to do so. They do have the Rotero drones of Pasha that will be able to do the job, but that is going to leave more utility in place. But I tell you what, Heroic are going to need a good amount of utility here if they want to hold on. They are 2 versus 4, Sloth and Grizzly are last alive and trying to hold on here. I would imagine one's going to be playing on in and around Cocktail, and then you've got Sloth who is in the washroom. Grizzly's actually got himself in a sneaky position under New Hatch here. He's been misdroned. Sloth is going to get taken out by the Rotero drone, but there's an opportunity for Grizzly here potentially. He's not been spotted.
But can he get 4, Tim? Can he get all 4? That feels...
Probably not.
No, it doesn't feel likely, but as you say, they haven't found him yet. They're still trying to drone around, but it's not quite sure where he is. Do they see him now in the back corner? A drone did turn in towards this direction, and he sees footsteps going underneath. So they don't know where he is apparently, but he has a very good idea. Oh, no way does he let him get away with this as well. When does the next one drop down? He's going to be very patient here and wait for his chance to strike, but he's got to time this to perfection. They have no idea. The hatch, missing him by a mere millimetre. There's one more on red, now starts to move, but have they got a clue where he is? He might die to the skylight here as well. The drop comes in, finds one, plant is going down, and now panic stations begin, finds a second. No way can he pull out a 1 versus 4. Plant not stuck, Rask and FMX have got it all to do. Tucks in tight, but wasn't aware of the rotate. FMX finding a big 3k in the round.
I tell you what, there was a minute where I think we all collectively held our breath there because it looked like Grizzly might just have the play of the stage on his hands as he just used that trigger discipline to keep himself off the radar. Got 2, and I tell you what, in a 1v2, it's anybody's at that point. Well played by Grizzly. It was good effort, but Outsiders, they really already had that round won just from how cautious they played on those rappels and the way that they dealt with those jump outs so well.
It was really well done. And honestly, I thought they were going to completely miss what was coming, but whether it was droning, whether it was intuition, they just knew what was coming and dealt with it perfectly. 4 versus 2 inside 60 seconds. You cannot ask for a better hand to be dealt. And Sloth, caught being a sloth, being caught out by the Roteros is not what you're looking for. Bar and Cocktail we go back up to once again, so clearly feeling that we can do something a little bit different here. See how things play out this time around. Heroic, confident they can turn around their fortunes on this site.
I think really here it's about reining in that aggression, realistically. You know, they've lost 2 players in a double jump out. Not the end of the world to give it a try, but you can't keep doing it, especially when Outsiders were read it and have punished you for it. The likelihood is they're going to be watching for it again. They're prepared. The message has been sent now. So Heroic need to keep themselves inside of the building. I think just hold on to that, you know, those reins a little bit and just keep themselves active inside of the map and try and continue into the round. 2v4s with a minute or more left on the clock are always going to be very, very tough. We've got Outsiders spawning in. They're going to probably look to get themselves up to the rooftop pretty quickly. They lost the sledge last time, which I'm sure they won't want to do this time, but they've got the Ying on board.
Yes.
There's always one to watch out for. Rask bringing it along.
Well, chances are you know exactly what this is going to look like. It's more likely than not going to be a Ying going for a Skylight drop. And finding the opener is definitely one way to keep things moving. Pasha starting things off in this round. A good return. Given in those first 3 rounds, Heroic had the entry in every single one.
Yep, not a bad start at all, taking Uno off the board, and it's the smoke that's gone as well. So you've just lost 3 Toxic Babe canisters. That is basically the one operator out of the 5 that you do not want to lose at this stage in the round. So that is a real big boost for Outsiders. That's like a kill and a half almost when it comes especially to something like a Ying plant dropping Skylight potentially, because once the smoke canisters come in and the Candelas go out, it's very difficult for them to do anything about stopping that plant. Toxic Babe canisters put into the right location are one way that you can really deal with that, and they're not going to be able to. That's
really clever, by the way. Mute Jammer behind the minibar has just stopped them being able to clear it out with the Rotero, and it also can't get the Malusi that's inside a bar. So they've now needed it out from below by the looks of it, so now they will be able to get the bar opened up if they haven't fully already. They are starting to square up for what looks like it's going to be a bar execute, though.
Just waiting now for Outsiders to decide that it is the time to pull the trigger. We've got 2 on red stairs, and keep your eye on that Ying of Rask particularly, and where he is and when those Candelas come in, because that is going to signal go time for this execute once they are dropped from the hatch. It looks like now is going to be the time. Out goes the smoke. We'd expect to see, no, they're flashes. They're just clearing for the time being. We still don't have that push coming in from the Ying. Pasha,
timing.
Just dipping away from the angle at the wrong moment there. Could have caught the toes for sure, but we've got the diffuser on red stairs. Rask is going to put the smoke into barback storage. Candelas will follow next, and here will come the drop. All the way deep into Cocktail go the Candelas, just to try and blind out anybody playing inside of there, and now is the time to move. But Gorgona, he's in a position to potentially do something here.
Well, they managed to get 1 back, but yes, he died down in the corner of bags there, finally getting flashed out. Pasha finding another in the round. Up goes Grizzly onto the table. Gets 1 back for himself, but elsewhere, his team are crumbling. Finding himself in a 1vx once again, this time with less HP on board, and they're just ready and waiting. Those Ying executes on that top floor are lethal, Tim.
Yeah, they really are. You know, so difficult to play against. We saw it from Gorgona's perspective. If he manages to keep himself out of the way of those Candelas somehow, then maybe, just maybe, he can have an impact on that drop. But boom, full white flashed, the drop comes, the kill comes in. And the important thing for Outsiders is knowing exactly where those heroic players are, because obviously you've only got so long until the vision starts coming back for those players. So you got to get those kills, and you got to get them quickly. You want them whilst they are full white flashed, and there's no challenge going to come back in. Outsiders did that beautifully. 3-2, find themselves the advantage here on Cafe.
It just feels like Outsiders, I'm not going to say it's cheesing the side of Heroic, but they are bringing the Ying. They've played the Monty twice as well. They've kept them guessing about, okay, we have to bring, air quotes, relatively specific tools to deal with those two ops, whether it's the massive spam of ADSs and Magnets and Warden, for example, to deal with the Ying, through to maybe even similar tools arguably coming in against the Monty to try and deny away smokes, or at least to give you a way to see through them. There's things that they can work to here, but Outsiders keep on mixing up the formula so much that it's really hard for Heroic to nail something down. But down here on the downstairs, we spoke about this back in the second round, about what we needed to see them getting right, and they were blindsided by that Monty. Here, they should be more prepared because it's the same strat once again coming out of Outsiders.
It is, and that's not something that Heroic have necessarily had the opportunity for so far. As you say, there's been a bit of variation, but this time it really could be about just fixing what was broken last time around. We're going to have Outsiders heading towards Bakery once again, but a little bit more attention actually up towards the roof this time. So I think there's maybe going to be more of an attempt towards the top floor. Last time we saw all sort of 3, 4, 5 stacking up at Bakery double door and looking to push in and just try and support getting that diffuser down. But this time Milan on the sledge is going to go into the top floor, so maybe just looking for a bit of that verticality as well. We've got the Ace and we've got the Flores trying to work themselves in, and that's nice play there. The Rotero just managing to avoid the man inside of Bakery Prep. Gets the shield, not the ADS, but it's the shield particularly they were looking for because it makes Sloth's position a lot more difficult to hold on to behind the counter.
It's a very similar setup once again, right? They just try and force their way in through Bakery by slowly forcing this player out. The problem is here, I think that he might find himself a bit trapped in. Almost had the side angle, and that should not be happening. Let's be real. It should not be happening that easy.
Too easy for Sloth to take the Monty down. The Monty is really your primary focus of this push. FMX, however, he's going to get Uno, and Outsiders, they start to get something going, but they're on the back foot now, and it's all about plan B, plan C. It's all about those other options, and what can you do without that big shieldy boy to push in behind. Sloth nearly finds himself one onto the Flores, but it's going to be Gorgona who gets one, gets two. FMX and Milon getting cut down in the doorway. Sloth onto Pasha, 1v4 now. Smash finds himself on the wedding window with an absolute task ahead of him.
Looks to be a 3-3 half at this point, Tim. I know Smash has got it in him, but against 4 members of Heroic who are on fine form, it feels a little bit impossible, especially with only 60 seconds left on the clock. I thought Gorg had gone for a jump out or something ludicrous there, but no, it was just a reverse angle kill that he got that killed the diffuser holder and saw it drop down to the ground. Smash, he's pinned in on the outside here. Can't even set foot inside the building. Feels like it's just a matter of time until Heroic collect that final kill.
More than likely. This is it. It's just about an opportunity maybe for Outsiders to just have a bit of a chat, as we see Smash not really making any attempt to take any peeks here. It just tells you there's a bit of talking going on within the game. They just want to iron a few things out. At the end of the day, they're moving away from the attacking side anyway, so it doesn't give them too much, but they can start to shape up exactly what the plan is on defense. Where are we going to go? How are we going to play this? What have we maybe learnt from the disposition of Outsiders inside of this first half? It's going to be Gorgona 3 in the round, and that's going to close things out for Heroic. 3-3. Not bad for a defensive half of Cafe, to be fair.
Not bad for either team, I'd wager. Like, a lot of maps are seeing this sort of 3-3 split at the moment, where we're used to seeing 4-2 perhaps back in the old meta. I think I was going through the map stats the other day, actually, and there are a couple of maps that are down in like sub 40% defensive win rates. Border was down there. I want to say Chalet was the other. Villa, interestingly, still sat at like 62% across NA and EU, I want to say. So there's still this kind of healthy, variance across maps in a way that attacker repick hasn't massively skewed everything to be attacker sided, but where maps were already attacker leaning, they have become now arguably even more so. Cafe is one of those middle ground maps where, again, a 3-3 scoreline feels about right.
And not only does it feel right, it sets us up for an absolute beauty of a second half between Outsiders and Heroic here. We've had big moments on both sides. We've had both of them willing to take a little bit of a chance, do something a little bit different, whether that be the jump outs of Heroic or the skylight drops of Outsiders. They're willing to push the boat a little bit, and that's what we like to see. Coming into round number 7 then, it's going to be Heroic switching onto the attack, and Outsiders, they will choose to take us down to the ground floor to begin with. It's going to be Kitchen that they're going to try and lock down. We've got the man playing inside of VIP. Shield is going to be deployed. We've got Wamai, it looks like, inside of Bakery for the time being. So Outsiders not quite sure where to expect Heroic pushing from, but they're ready for whichever direction it might be.
Yeah, FMX up in the front line along with Milan as well here for the most part. Pasha
You're taking
back.
damage.
Huh?
Benji taking a chunk of damage there at the beginning.
Yeah, the hell window, I think someone was trying to get a cheeky bit of spawn peek out of, but alas, not quite losing his life. And touching on Benji, he's had a pretty quiet game so far, 1-4. I know no one can be Superman every single day of the week, but he does normally land some pretty serious numbers in games like this.
He needs to get into a phone booth and get himself changed, Des. That's, what Heroic might just need to push him over the line now. Is
becomes Super Benja.
Super Benja, that's what we're looking for. He just needs to, I don't think he wears glasses, but, take them off, completely transform himself and come in. We're going to see the ADS is taken down by the utility. Smash is going to try to keep himself in here. The Rotero drone is going to force him to relocate, and he's on low health. His days are numbered inside of VIP, and this is good play from Heroic. Clearing VIP inside of the first minute and a half is a serious effort, and if they can just keep pushing this advantage while they've got it and get him cleared out, it's going to be a big part of this round.
It is. They're finally collecting, but 6 drones have been chewed through trying to get the man out of there. 3 Roteros. They haven't even looked at the site, Tim. That is a lot of investment to get one man, time and resource-wise. So yes, it's an entry there still coming in for the side of Outsiders, but you don't expect the man inside of VIP to walk out alive. Either he kills everyone or he will die at some point inside the round. So I feel if I were them, I wouldn't feel too upset, given, just look down the utility, by the way. No flashes, no frags, no drones, basically, at this point. They've really done a good job there of wasting time, so well played to Smash.
It is a heavy cost, but it could be the access that they need. The thing is for Heroic here, what they've done is they've just sent a big announcement to Outsiders saying, we've dumped nearly all of our utility into VIP, so we are coming Freezer side. So Outsiders can play into that, and that's exactly what they've just done. Rask has been hanging around Brown Stairs for a minute because he knows it's going to be worthwhile, because he knows there's going to be players there, because they have to push Freezer after they've committed so heavily to clearing VIP. He gets himself one, and that levels things up. 4v4, it's Sloth who goes down behind the bar, and Outsiders now 30 seconds to hold on.
Now comes FMX on the swing as well, by the looks of it, collecting one for himself. Milan into another. It's not looking the best once more for Heroic here, find themselves down to just 2 remaining. They are on this attacking side and have got a lot of work to do if they still want to get this round over the finish line in the next 15 seconds. Grizzly looking for the man tucked in, will find him into a 2 versus 2. Can Uno step in and get the plant down here? No, Pasha finds a kill, and that should be just about it. Grizzly's going to push the man to try and get a kill. It's not what he was looking for. Sees the man, gets the down, has got to stick the plant. Down comes Rask, and he'll have the long angle here. This one is done and dusted. Outsiders going to take their first defensive round.
Well played from Outsiders there. They reacted well to losing the man inside of VIP. Usually you'll see a little bit of a snowball effect. Once VIP is dropped like that, you start getting progress into Freezer very quickly, but it was never something that Heroic ever really managed to get going. And to be honest, it was that drop down Brown Stairs from the Aruni that just absolutely, I think, put the wind up him a bit. It was like, Sloth gets taken down behind bar. We've got somebody on the flank that we haven't been able to deal with. What do we do from here? And it just sent them into a little bit of disarray.
I think once Rask got that kill, you're right, yeah. He was upstairs roaming as well, unchallenged. There was no focus on getting second floor control, no real attention towards Freezer. It was this kind of split where you're fighting over control of restaurant, but also looking out towards bakery. And there's a lot of work to do to control both of those areas at the same time without getting any kind of top floor control. So really, Heroic were a little bit screwed there, stretched a bit too thin, and Outsiders played it perfectly. It does start to make you a bit worried. I know it's only that first round, and Heroic have taken this time out straight away, but Outsiders are in the lead, and Heroic, up until now, were assumed to be very safely in first or second place alongside Rogue. They were going to the Major was the guarantee. Based on how results go for the next few days, Heroic cannot afford for this game to go against them. Otherwise, they get sucked not just into a first and second place conversation, but suddenly get pulled back down into third and fourth conversation.
Well, this is what you've got to remember. EUL is so close at the minute that there really isn't many points separating mid-table from top table from bottom table. It is, there's going to be a lot of people competing, especially for that third and fourth position come the final Playday, like you say. And Heroic really don't want to get sucked down into that. They want to get this locked in as soon as they can. We all remember what happened with SI with this roster. They don't want to be in a similar position where they're getting right to the very wire here and then losing out in those final play days. And it's going to be a big couple of weeks for them coming
It's
up.
interesting as well, right? I mean, 0 on side for Gorgona. We don't see too many teams running that. You do get the odd team that is starting to play it, especially on maps like Bank. But on the other side, it's FMX on the Warden that I'm really drawn to. We spoke about the Ying in the first half, the kind of fear of God that puts in teams. If nothing else, you kind of bring it as a prevention measure. And we did see some teams, especially in the early weeks of EUL, running Warden just in case there was a Ying. There was never any guarantee, but a team could drone you out, say, oh, there's no Warden on side. A Ying would be perfect here. It's why she's drawing away so many bans from teams in the European League and even across in APAC North. So we'll see exactly what impact FMX has. There aren't any smokes on the other side, but there are flashes to contend against, which could prove to be useful.
I'm going to have those cams deployed just to try and get a little idea of what's going on inside of Piano for the time being. There is a man playing in and out of Pixel, but as the pressure mounts, we will see the Jaeger of Ras just keep himself locked tighter and tighter in behind that shield, I would imagine. Uno trying to get the wall open there, but he's just going to need a little bit of assistance to clear out the mute jammer that's just locking off those Kairos pellets at the moment. It's likely just inside of the window near the small bar. They'll have to get onto the rappel to clear it out. Ooh, that was a bit of a flick there from FMX on the Warden, so a bit casual to take down the Rotero.
I think he really wanted to get the bulletproof that was inside a cocktail, because you can see across the entirety of bar can make it quite hard for you to move when things like smokes are coming in or flashes are being dropped through. So really, that's what they want. That's what the Flores wants to target, but with the Warden sat there, good luck getting through it. There's also this Pixel hole, which if you remember, Tim, Outsiders couldn't crack when it was Heroic playing here. They just ignored it and went directly via bar instead and paid the price. They lost the round ultimately, but Heroic might be facing off against the same difficulties here because we're nearly 2 minutes in and finally they get the kill. That's what you're looking for. Rascon from Pixel, and suddenly White Corridor opens up.
Beautiful bit of teamwork there, just getting the Rotero drawn in. The shield was about to drop and Rask had no option but to try and make a challenge on his way out. Hit something on the fadeaway. Benja, he's going to find Pasha inside a bar back storage, but he gets a little bit over aggressive there. Tries to push himself into White Corridor. He's not ADS, he's not ready for the fight, and Milon is able to get him. Grizzly takes down Sloth, and that could be an unfortunate team kill. FMX and Smash managed to get two, and that leaves us now in a 3v1. Milon shuts down Uno, and it's all gone wrong for Heroic, Des.
Oh boy, 1 round is like, okay, look, you can let that one pass. 2, you start getting nervous. If it becomes 3, there is no timeout, there is no opportunity for recovery. Yeah, dare I say it, boys, play the cheese. Get that Ying in lineup. We've seen how well it worked before. I know it's saying, one operator doesn't suddenly magically make you win rounds. No, but it's very easy to get a line behind the go buttons that are those Candelas. You hear them go off, you make the play, or the play makes you. It's time to make the move. Heroic yet to find anything on this attack inside. Outsiders are going to be looking to now if they can get this next round in. That'll be 6 and 3. That'll be fancying all 3 points, Tim.
They certainly will be. They know that it's on the cards. At the minute, Heroic are going to be taking the 3rd site in 3 rounds. They're yet to lock down a successful defense here on Cafe. A successful attack. Outsiders are absolutely flying at the minute. There's no stopping them, and they are just really on top of things at the minute. And Heroic, due to losing the rounds, are just having to fight against site after site after site, and it's just not allowing them to get any consistency, get anything running, to really get a proper run on Outsiders here. So Outsiders going to try to hold on to the top floor. Not too much of a surprise. We're going to have a few extra reinforcements than you would for a bar hold. You want fewer rotations. You just want more obstacles for the attackers to get through. They'll probably play somebody up into Pixel very tentatively. As soon as the pressure mounts, they'll drop back to Lumber. And it's all going to be about fighting from that far side in Cocktail and top of Lumber, Cocktail balcony, just keeping hold of that for as long as possible.
Oh no.
Dear.
No, that's not what you're looking for, Sloth. You got the nades, you got the magic in your back pocket, and now there's only 2 left on the sledge as well. Not the ideal start that you're looking for. Once again here, Heroic being bit back by the very things they utilised in round 1. Outsiders saying, you're going to give us any kind of leeway, we're going to take it full force here. Beautiful start to the round once again. Oh boy, he's done it. He's done
Even
2.
better,
He's done 2.
Milon manages to find Uno. He's just unstoppable. At the minute, we've seen this from Milon time after time after time. Sometimes he will just get himself going in a round, and there's just nothing that you can do about it. He's going to get taken down there, though. Gorgona managing to do something. On the rappel, shoots him in the back. That takes Milon, but the damage is done. The 2 kills are in, and they don't have top floor control. So now, Outsiders with a man advantage can actually play this a little bit more aggressively on the top floor. They can hold on there for longer. They can even play a life out there. They don't necessarily need to drop away from sight. We're going to have Smash working underneath with Nitro in hand, looking to get himself a bit of an opportunity for a cheap kill. Benja, I think he knows that there's one there. There could be an opportunity for a nade here.
There's ADS Parch right there with the mute jammer as well, though. So again, you're seeing this same setup of keeping that wall locked up tight and just letting these two defenders on the top floor sit and do some work. Oh, but Rask, you step in the way of Benja. He's going to run you over like a truck. Gets the kill and brings things back to a 3 versus 3. So Heroic, despite losing out 2 members early on to Milan and thinking, man, that's basically a 5 versus 3. The round is done. Have still found themselves a couple on the way back through, but they've got 60 seconds to work with here, Tim, and that doesn't feel like a lot of time.
I know Rask was conscious, I think, of the nade coming in with a bit of clearance ahead of it. He only had 1 ADS. Not sure he needed to take the peak, though. Having that man there could have been a real time waster for potentially another 20, 30 seconds. As it is, Heroic can start working vertical angles. They're not going to find anybody inside of sight because there's nobody in reading at the moment. They've got 1 outsiders located inside of dining, but they're not attacking that deep at the minute, aren't Heroic? 30 seconds left to go, and they're just looking to soften up that plant spot. They want to get somebody there, but we've got Pasha at the bottom of Brown Stairs. How many times have we seen big multi-kills to win rounds for defenders from that position there?
There are some great verticals here, and yeah, absolutely, especially that's where the plant comes in, but it's gone more towards the south side here. As long as there is some coverage on towards the north side door, they should be absolutely fine. FMX looking for a way in, but he knows that vertical is being held by Benja. Has to challenge that first. In comes one challenger, gets shut down. A second straight after as well. Grizzly 2 quick kills. There's only the one left alive. It's FMX. He wants to retake this top floor. No idea where Benja has slid away to. He is still inside the bar to his left-hand side. Has the angle. They get the shut down. Those vertical angles just a bit too hard to contest into. Finally, Heroic get an attacking round win.
A good round overall for Heroic. Got themselves the control they needed. I think, as I say, outsiders 4v3 had themselves a really good advantage after those 2 Milan kills and maybe just got a little bit over ambitious on that top floor. Peeking into Benja, leveled things up and just really gave Heroic that opportunity then to start taking that vertical dominance and to get the diffuser down. So it was well played from them. Took their opportunity when it was presented. So much so that we're going to have a little tactical timeout coming in for outsiders here.
I can't tell you how ludicrous it'll be if outsiders win this game. For a breakdown of points, Heroic will stay in first on 15 points. Rogue is second on 13 points, but also tied with LFO and G2, who also sit on 13 points. You'll then have BDS and outsiders on 12 points. 1 point below those 3 teams sat in 5th and 6th. This is going to start getting ludicrously close going into our last 2 play days. And honestly, if this game comes out the way that we think it will, with, well, not really necessarily think, but if outsiders come out on top, it becomes so hard to call which way it then starts looking. And Rogue in the next game will be looking to get all 3, jump into first place and try and escape this absolute mosh pit in the mid-table.
I mean, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm an agent of chaos when it comes to league standings.
You are
when
not.
it comes to league not in general life, Des. When it comes to league standings, I absolutely love it. Get me 3 or 4 teams fighting on the same number of points coming into the last play day. Let's go down to game 5. Let's go down to overtime in game 5 to see what happens. I just want to see these teams really thrown through the ringer in the mix for who is going to be going to the major when it all shakes down. But as you say, an outsiders win here could really spice things up in that department, and it could just keep Heroic on their toes if they want that top spot for stage 1. I mean, if you remember back last year, it was Kavana at the time, obviously before the roster switched across to Heroic. They actually had a really good stage 1. It was really positive for them, and they're certainly coming out with a similar start to this year.
They are. The thing is about last year, they kind of hit that 3rd place, and then obviously we didn't have a major, unfortunately. They couldn't sort of use that as a springboard on towards success. In stage 2, things started to go wrong, but like we were saying earlier on today, teams are really shaped by the rough times that they can get back on their feet, as BDS now are still trying to figure out. That's what really makes the mark of a solid team. Let's see how this focus comes in, though. It's going to be Wedding as the initial push in from the top side. There is a mute jammer there, caught out there, so it won't be going off, unfortunately. Just one of those that you look at and think, oh man, if only it wasn't there. Maybe you force the man out and you get the entry, and that was really what you were looking for.
It was. We'll see what happens with that mute jammer. We've always got to be careful when there's a Rotero drone stuck in a mute jammer, because it can't be shot out, but if the mute jammer gets taken down, it will then activate. So something that the defenders just need to be aware of sometimes. The man just being pushed out by a second Rotero, so that's going to force him away from Bakery counter, but Rask is just going to try and hold that angle from on top of the counter. The drone comes in, can't hit his shots, but his teammate will, and that is going to mean Heroic now have access to Bakery.
And the drones, inside 75 seconds, it's a couple of times we've seen that this half so far. Basically, everything is gone. They've got 4 left alive. They still haven't cleared Smash out of playing inside of VIP, where he did so much work last time. Benja doesn't care about utility, though. He's going to swing on towards site, finds one for himself, and that's the opener in the round.
Big start
Benja
for Heroic, exactly what they needed. And like you say, Benja looking to get himself rolling. 5 kills now and finding a little bit of momentum, but needs a little bit more. Benja's going to continue trying to find the nade kills if he can. I think he's just conscious of anybody that's potentially up above. And he is right. There's one playing up there inside of mining, but he's not going to do any damage for the time being. And it's something that Heroic need to be aware of, because if they try to go in through that breach as it stands, it's likely that they're going to lose manpower.
Oh, hello. Grizzly just hopping in and finding a spontaneous smash. Sat inside a coat. Away he goes. 2 kills then. Heroic looking like maybe they're starting the stage of a comeback here as well. With 2 rounds on the bounce, if they can close this one out. But seeing what they can find. Rask playing on the verticals, looking for where this plant's going down. You're not going to be able to find that angle, I'm afraid, that sits just inside of the rice area. It's going to get stuck a 5 versus 3 for Heroic.
Grizzly, if he just holds that angle, he's going to find his man, but no, he looks away at the wrong time. FMX is able to find him with a shotgun, leaving us 3v4, 3v3 as Milon finds Uno, but there's still an awful lot of work for Heroic for Outsiders to do, to get this 1-1 back. They've got about 20 seconds left to find these final kills and get on that diffuser, and it's going to be an awful lot to ask. If Benja peeks now, he's going to get himself a freebie. He does exactly that. Can he find himself a second on the double door? No, it's going to be Gorgona who finds it instead, leaving it all up to Rask. He gets one in the back. He's going to have to go for the disable on the diffuser. It's too late. It is too late no matter what happens. Benja finds the kill, but there was no time left for him anyway. And that's going to be Heroic bringing us back level, and we're going all the way to 12.
Shooting a couple of members in the back there as well. Just Outsiders not quite being aware of where the pushes were coming from and at what time. Heroic capitalising and getting the round win. So what looked really dicey at 5-3 now brings us back to 5-5. We get to see all 12 rounds of regulation at the very least, Tim. The big question on our minds, as it always is overtime something that comes on the way? We'll only find out after a couple more rounds.
I've got a real feeling that it could be. I don't see Outsiders just rolling over and losing 4 rounds in a row, to be honest, with the way that they've played so far. I think they're going to find a way to take at least one of these remaining 2 rounds, but Heroic have had a great couple as well, and that bit of momentum, you have to believe that they can get rounds locked in as well. Now, Outsiders had a great start to this site last time that they played it. It was back in round 9. Milon got them a nice double to open things up, but then they threw it away from 5 versus 3. They weren't able to lock it down. Heroic, they dug their toes in. They managed to get themselves back on the board with a couple of kills and level things up, and then were able to get the plant down as well. So Heroic, they're going to be looking for more of the same, but if anything, they're going to look to do it with greater numbers. They're not going to want to lose those doubles to Milon to begin with.
All right, see that 0 back on side once again for Gorg. We saw a number of those stuck into windows, up inside off piano. No way. No way does Milon get away with using against at Heroic exactly what Gorg used back in round 1. All eyes up towards the buildings, just making sure there's nothing dodgy going on. The first rappel comes up. Does Milon know about this? It might be a little bit far away for him to hear, so he's just going to dip, not bother going for it. But if that was any closer and he hears that rappel sound, different conversation we're having right now, Tim.
Yeah, I think the player was on the other side of the silhouette. He was repelling Bakery on the little sort of screen that's in between, but that's going to cut a lot of the sound down, as you say. Milon just not wanting to overcommit to it, probably rightly so. He doesn't want to be giving any opportunity to Heroic here. Doesn't want to give them an easy opener. As soon as they hear that punch, they're going to be all eyes on. Now then, that is a bit of a drop coming in from Heroic. They're going to move aggressively into Piano. Drone is just ahead of Benji there and moving through, trying to find himself anything on the verticals for the time being. There is Smash down inside of mining, but he's going to get himself away through training to dining and just keep himself out of trouble.
Alrighty, starting themselves out on white here, burning through a shield, which is making this drop back down white stairs a little bit more precarious. Milan just holding and waiting to see if anyone dares go in for the swing. They have, of course, got the hatch to play behind as well. As more and more nades rain in, it starts to feel pretty hot over there in Cocktail. Grab yourself a drink to cool down, because it's going to get spicy as this pressure starts to mount. If outsiders can drop away, though, knowing that nades have been consumed, flashes have gone through, drones once again being chewed through as the round progresses, you won't be complaining all that much. And if you can find a kill, all the better. Milan getting soft before getting traded out.
Didn't manage to get himself the double this time, but did get the opener, leaving them 4v4. But as Benja pushes down onto white stairs, that's going to signal that Heroic are confident they've got the top floor control. They're looking in towards the plant spot, and now that they can open up the verticals above, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to get this diffuser down. But with only 6 drones left, as you say, need to be careful. A couple of those will be watching flanks, so they just need to use what they have carefully to make sure they're completely aware of where outsiders are playing coming into this final.
They've been here before, though, don't forget. Benja had all these verticals held down with about 25 seconds left to go. So although it sounds weird with only 30 seconds on the clock, they are ahead of time versus where they were last time round they tried to push into this site. The problem is, though, there's 4 players left alive for outsiders, which is a little bit of the difference here. So they need to start looking for this plan to come in and be very wary about those trying to get a flank on. There's one holding just around the corner from this reading door. One also coming up brown. They're going to do what they can. The swing comes in. Gore gets it. They could look to go deep. Smash comes in for the swing. There's about 10 seconds on the clock, and they've got full coverage of the diffuser here. One swing coming out. Can he find the man? Looks the wrong way. Look towards the right, not the left. Benja gets a second in the round, but it looks to be one that they can win here. Holding on towards the angle. Plant now going down. They need to win this 1 versus 1. Oh, the drop shot out of Benja with the pistol, you little rats. You love it. Get off the floor, but finds the kill, and that's Heroic putting themselves back into a commanding position.
Oh, what a move to finish the round there.
And the 1-2.
That really takes some nerve from Benja. I was on the edge of my seat, let alone him, as he just hits the drop shot with the pistol. He had to win that one out realistically, because Grizzly has no choice. He has to stick the diffuser at that point. And if FMX can get himself into sight, it's going to be an easy challenge for him. So essential cover from Benja, and Heroic somehow take a 3rd round in a row. They just seem to have completely stalled out by the end of round 8, and outsiders were running away from this. But all of a sudden, there's only going to be one team with an opportunity to win this in regulation and take a full 3 points, and it's going to be Heroic.
If they win this in regulation, they move to 18 points. BDS are sat on 12 points in 5th place. Now, whilst there is a world where everything goes massively wrong in the last 2 playdays, because our main tiebreaker isn't from head-to-head, it's from round difference. Heroic currently is plus 13, BDS are plus 5. Again, it would have to go very wrong in the last 2 playdays, i.e. Heroic would have to get destroyed, and BDS would have to win very convincingly in both of their games. They are all but qualified if they win this game in regulation. That's what they're playing for here. They don't want to get sucked into those last 2 playdays of chaos where teams are really fighting tooth and nail to get a spot at the major. This is their chance. Do it now, or else you're still going to be in that battle for 1st or 4th place.
That's it. You look at it and you think, is it not easier to do it this way?
Of course it is, yeah.
It's just that reduced pressure. It's not, if this is your final play day and it's now or never, make or break, this is now the opportunity to take it, because in the back of your mind you can think, well, if we don't do it now, we'll get another, we can come back and we can do it again next play day. But so really, just get it done. Just use that opportunity while the pressure's not on to just get it done. Grizzly, he's going to send in the Rotero. He's taking down the minibar, wants the angle. There you go. That's just going to give a little bit of better visibility onto that rotation so that they can work into that area from Cigar if needs be. Now, interestingly, Smash is going to hold himself on the mute just inside of mining there. He's going to have Nitro in hand, so he's there for a potential bit of vertical play into Piano. He's got Rask playing in Pixel spot up above him, but I'm not sure if Heroic have picked him up on the drone or not. They're down to 7. They need to be careful because that mute could play a big part.
They really want to get rid of the shield as well. They had the Rotero coming in, I think got shot out, so they couldn't quite get rid of the shield that is tucked into this back corner where Rask currently finds himself sat. Now, a couple of times you've seen Gorg on those windows find a kill or 2, and here it comes, direct to sight, direct to sender, and in it comes a little bonus. It's a bullet into Rascal. Down he goes. Sloth getting the entry. Beautiful start for Heroic here halfway through the round.
Exactly what they needed, and Outsiders seriously on the back foot now. They can't give up any more ground here because another death is almost certainly going to be the end of this game. 5v3, you really would expect Heroic to be winning this top floor attack. You can see Outsiders are just scrambling at the minute. FMX is going to activate those glasses, obviously expecting some utility to pour in and try and make his life difficult. He's not up against the Ying, but there is other flashes and things that could make it tricky. He's going to find one onto Sloth, but not before Benja was able to take a man down, leaving us now 4 versus 2.
Benja.
4 versus 1. Here comes Benja. We said we needed that transformation into Superman, and that's exactly what Benja has done towards the end of that game. Uno finishes it off, and Heroic, they are going to give themselves 3 points, and they are one step closer to locking in that major spot.
As Sloth puts in all chat there, Ninja Master going off for a man that was, what, 1 and 5? To step up and put himself at the top of the scoreboard here, nailing himself 13 kills, towards the end. What a brilliant second half he's had. But Tim, I do want to give a quick nod as well towards Smash and FMX. I did want to mention them earlier on. They've had some really good games there as well. Both hitting 10 kills, both fresh to the team and to EUL in this stage. Hats off, boys. You've done a pretty good job for yourself there, but unfortunately, not enough to get it over the finish line.
Yeah, it's been good for Outsiders. There was, a lot of good to take away from that game. They had a spell where they were really on top through the middle of it. But Heroic, for me, the message there, it's not just about the win, it's the manner of it. And if you want to be a championship winning team, you got to be able to fight from behind to get results. And Heroic have just shown us there that they've got the ability to do that. They've got the stamina, they've got the perseverance and the mental fortitude to keep going. Love to see it.
Had some really close games so far today. They've had a 7-2, a 7-4, 2 7-5s. Even these top 4 teams still being challenged by those lower teams, and that is what you love to see. Let's go to a quick break, and when we come back, the desk will break that game down for you.